Okay, it is June 20th, 2020, and this is the monthly meeting of the Cardston Creative Technologists. This meeting's not super formal. We can talk and ask questions and stuff while we go. I probably will post this to Facebook or something. Our topic tonight is 3D scanning, but I did want to start with some show and tell. So, I don't have much myself.
You want me to do the cameras?
Yeah, tell us about your cameras.
Yeah, okay. So last month, I did CNC technology. So I've got a little CNC machine at home, basically a 3D printer, but it cuts stuff on the end instead of spitting out glue. And I was trying to figure out how I could show my face plus show the objects that we were looking at and that sort of thing. And so I started playing around with a program that makes a little virtual TV studio, so you can change camera angles and stuff like that.
Cool.
And I ended up, after doing that, like I borrowed a bunch of webcams to be able to do that presentation. And then right afterwards, I ended up buying a whole whack load of these little guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're like 20 bucks off Amazon. It's it's called the Wide Cam. And it's a webcam that's supposed to be like a security.
Yeah, let me try to plug it in, see if I can make it work.
It's normally a security camera that you put on the wall and connect to your Wi-Fi, but the company, because of COVID, they actually just pull on that. That's the flip.
That's unexpected.
Hold it up close.
That's cool.
So it's just a super simple little camera, but because of COVID, the company actually released firmware that turns it into a webcam. So instead of connecting it to Wi-Fi and using it as a security camera, you can just plug in like 5 or 6 of these little things onto your computer. Don't worry about that one. That one's just power.
I want to plug it into my computer.
Yeah, here. The only weird thing is, because of the hardware inside, you have to plug it in with a double-ended
that's not
USB-A on each side.
That's an illegal cable. Oh my goodness.
So on the back side of the camera, there's a little tiny micro USB just for power. Like there's not even a battery in it. That's why they're so cheap. But there's a little tiny micro USB just for plugging in the power. But when you make it into a webcam, the only way that data can flow is through the USB-A port above it. So you need a double-ended USB-A wire to be able to plug it in.
Did you have to buy that separately?
Yeah. I think in Canadian dollars, the 2-pack of these cameras was, I think, $50 or something like that with the shipping. So
do I need?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No, that should be it. Now Windows should, if you've got that into a, has that got power to it?
Yeah, it's got power.
Okay. It should just start showing up as different devices in Windows. So.
We'll find out.
And the wire is so stiff.
Yeah.
I should have tried to buy a more flexible wire, but I didn't really realize that. Did Windows beep or say it detected something?
We're just going to see if we've got this. Oh, we do. HD USB camera. Hey!
And we have a different view.
That's awesome.
So anyway, inside of this the studio program that I was playing around with, you can have your laptop. You can have your laptop camera, plus you can have these things just kind of mounted wherever you want or pointed down at your work surface or whatever. Then as you're working, you can.
Mr. McKay. Oh, he's still connecting to audio.
So you can use these different cameras to give you the different views you want, and then the program actually has a remote control app you can put on a phone. So your phone can be off to the side, and you just poke the buttons on your phone, and it'll flip from one view to the other view. And it turned out pretty easy to work with. So.
Oh, nice.
And actually, Dustin was showing me these cameras as security cameras before COVID hit.
These little guys. You're muted.
I've got like a swarm of those suckers.
Did you see the thing by Wise that they put out firmware to turn them into webcams instead of security cameras?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so we just plugged one in like 2 seconds ago,
and that's the one that you're seeing.
Oh, that's what you guys are using. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So for like 20 or whatever they are in Canadian dollars, like $1 million Canadian dollars, you can buy one of these and just have 10 webcams plugged into your computer at the same time for doing presentations like this, so you don't have to be like, and here, I'll hold it in front of the camera. You can just have your own camera pointed at the object that you're.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's just right on their webpage. They had a blog post about what they were doing for COVID, and they just released firmware. You throw the firmware onto the memory card, you poke it in, reboot the thing holding the reset button down, and 2 minutes later, it's a webcam. So.
Oh, that's really cool.
And then there's another firmware to go backwards. So I've got two micro SD.
Oh, so once you update it, it's no longer a security camera. It's just a webcam.
Just a webcam, yeah. And as soon as you flip it back, it'll automatically get all its settings it had before and show back up as a security camera. The only quirky thing is you have to you have to run the thing through the USB-A port, not the micro USB.
So you've got to have like an AA cable.
Yeah, you got to have one of these guys.
Which is
those are becoming more and more common every day in society, though. So
of course,
out of spec, totally electrically illegal cable.
But anyway, they work pretty good. You plug them into Windows and it detects, and that's it. So
that's really neat.
Anyway, so cool.
Does anyone else have something for show and tell?
Well, I can't show you my webcam, but I got a new Brio 4K Logitech camera.
That sounds cool.
And I only paid retail for it instead of the inflated $500 eBay prices.
Okay, so how much is eBay for it?
Well, retail is $250. eBay is $500.
For a camera?
Yeah, because everybody wants webcams right now, and if I want to record 4K on my computer, I have to buy a DSLR that'll do clean HDMI output, and then for another $200, I have to get like an Elgato capture that plugs in and can take the clean HDMI input and put it onto my computer. And so, like, just for the adapter, it's $200, let alone the $500 or $600 or $700 or $800 or $900 or $1,000. $1,000 camera. So yeah, it was actually, I'm really pleased with it. I'm really pleased with it.
Well, that's cool. That's nice. We my CNC presentation last week, I borrowed a $1,200 Logitech Meet for it. It's got a 4K sensor, and it's made for a boardroom. So
yeah.
This great big honking wide thing. It looks like a sound bar. But in the middle, there's this camera on a gimbal that can look back and forth, and you can pre-program like saved spots, so you can have it look over here at this side of the room, and then you hit a button and then go to that side of the room.
Can you make it track people?
I haven't played with it that much. All I've done is just plugged it into Windows and used it. There is like a separate remote control that comes with it for aiming it and stuff like that. So I haven't installed any other Logitech software though. So
that's cool.
I would presume there's a way, if it can move, there's got to be a way of getting it to.
So with the
it's just changed there. What happened?
There is supposed to be. I don't know if it's actually going to work or not. Let's just see if I can make it work here, though. Okay.
Whoa!
Your forehead.
Yeah, but just wait. There is supposed to be. Oh yeah, it's not doing it. There's supposed to be a button where it will auto trace my face. The other cameras I had from Logitech did it. This one says it does, but doesn't. Okay, well, we'll zoom out. Nobody needs to see my forehead in that much detail.
I've got a cheap little camera in the basement that you can turn in different directions and stuff remotely. And it's great for when I'm 3D printing, and because I'm not in the basement anymore.
You're not watching it.
Exactly. But yeah, I was wondering about one of these Wise cameras just for that purpose. Oh, another news. That Maslow CNC machine, I've moved it forward slightly. After Eric borrowed your router, it's when I'm like, okay, I got to get my own router. and I bought it like 2 months ago, and it finally came like a week ago.
Oh, good. I'd love to come over and work on that with you, because like there's things I would like to. I mean, you know,
that'd be great. My wife's asked me, so what are you going to cut with it? I'm like, we haven't gotten that far.
Slow down.
I'm going to put a piece of wood in the middle, and it's going to say "Hello World." And if I'm really creative, I'll change it, and it'll say "Hello Wife."
Yeah.
Oh, he knows me too well.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
That's how you know you're master of the machines.
All right. Anything else for show and tell here?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Well then, let me send you guys all a link, and we will start into our presentation.
Sorry, I know I missed it. Who's the gentleman behind you, Clinton?
Oh, this is Chris.
I'm beside him. No, I'm kidding.
Well-
Chris Jensen. I live up towards Waterton.
Okay.
I come from an engineering background. I was a structural engineer for airplanes. Oh, microphone. I did structural engineering for airplanes for 10 years, and we did, I mean, I was always kind of the computer guy at the office. So whenever we wanted to try and render what the inside of a business jet might look like with a certain color of leather, I was the one that had to go figure out how to do it. So I've dabbled with quite a few things, but I always wanted to build a CNC machine. And then I found a kit for $200 and kind of bit the bullet. I think it was just after Christmas time, I think, that I bought the thing and got it going, and it's pretty fun, but it's small. So I mean, really,
What kind of kit is it for $200?
It was the Sane Smart 3018 Pro is what it was called. So it's a pretty basic thing. I mean, it's a pretty lightweight Dremel motor, you know. With the, yeah. So it can cut wood. We did our presentation the other day using florist foam, so we could crank up the speed and just get it going back and forth and cutting stuff quickly. But it's got more accuracy than I know what to do with florist foam. but it does cut wood. You know, I've done a few things with wood with it and that sort of thing. But the whole workspace is only, I mean, the 3018 stands for 30 centimeters by 18 centimeters, and then it's got an up and down range of about 2.5 inches. So. And that's it. I mean, it's I've got 3 different ways of running it. I can run it like right off a PC. I've got it running off of a little third-party controller that you can just put your CNC code onto, so you can just hit repeat like over and over and over again without having a computer plugged into it. And then I've got a Raspberry Pi that's got CNC software on it with a touchpad, so you can run it with a touchpad. But I'd like to take the thing apart and turn it into a plasma cutter. I've got a plasma torch at home, and I'd really like to be able to put together like one of those mostly printed CNCs. I don't know if you've heard of that one before.
I've seen them.
The MP-CNC. I'd like to make something like that where I can put like a full sheet of sheet metal underneath of it and just have it zip around and cut out bits for me.
Cut all your little parts for you.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
So it'd be fun. I mean, it's the very same thing as cutting, you know, and inside of Fusion 360, there's even an option for just having it generate code for cutting. So why not, you know, like a plasma torch rather than a
well, yeah. And you change the dimensions and it's not a big deal. It's
well inside of the where you generate your CNC code, your NC code, up at the top, you can actually pick, instead of saying it's a cutting like an end mill or something like that, you can just say it's a plasma torch, and it just knows it's cutting straight down. And but
then you just give it your new bed size, right? Like when you're setting up the machine.
Oh yeah.
It's the same drivers. It's not like the stepper motors care.
Yeah, the stepper, there would be no load on the stepper motors at all. It would just drive it around. The only control that you really have to worry about is the vertical. So, I mean, you have to get your torch started, which generally requires touching to get it going.
Okay.
But then you want to back off to kind of the optimal distance. And there's a way of measuring the voltage between your work surface and the torch. And you can use that for feedback to be able to, like, say if you were cutting corrugated metal that goes like this, you know, you could have some feedback in there where the torch would go up and down and try and keep itself the same distance from your work surface. So
that's really cool.
But it'd be a neat learning thing. I mean, driving back and forth like X direction and Y direction is going to be easy. I'm not worried about that, but the other stuff would be kind of an interesting challenge and probably a little more productive than a Dremel tool that can cut very slowly on a very small piece of wood. So yeah.
That's cool.
Cool. Can you guys see us okay as the light changes in here?
Yeah, we see you fine.
Okay.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't start selling Wise cams as LED cams, but
well it's I mean, the lighting in here is terrible. If I turn on that light,
it backlights us a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit, I have ring lights. I have to get on the webcam for clients, so
You've got makeup mirrors all around you.
exactly.
Ring lights. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's just a ring or an LED tube. That's
Cool. That's cool.
they're made for going around a camera lens, so you can put light.
Okay. Couple point. Okay. What's it? Oh, that is the other side. What happens when you
That's
turn
the
it
LED.
on?
This one's not on. No.
I know, but when you turn it on, or can you? Let's see if we go blind. Ah, no.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and your nose shows up.
Yep. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get into my presentation. I shared you guys a link to a blog post. It has all the details I'm going through, but this seemed like the best way to do it. I will share my screen. Note that we are recording this. I'll probably put it up. And what else? After you can try, but it might not turn on. After about 40 minutes, our session's going to be cut short, and I will stop it and then start a new one. And yeah, there we go. So let me bring stuff up onto my screen. Here we go. And let me share my screen. Share screen. Okay, you can see my screen. How does 3D scanning work? Can you guys see my screen? Yes, okay, good. Okay, right, so Steve Walsh asked me, you know, how do we do 3D scanning? He especially wants to be able to like scan someone's hubcap ornament. And so I've been looking into it the past month, trying to prepare for this. And I'm happy to take questions as we go. That's often easier than taking them at the very end.
Should I like tell Steve Walsh to come join us?
You know, I tried calling him. You could call him again. It's for his benefit more than anything that I'm recording this, but we might just put it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, you continue. I'll send him a Facebook message.
Okay.
And my
great.
kids were shouting at his kids on Minecraft earlier, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I tried both him and his wife. Anyway, so some 3D scanners work by using a laser, and you send the laser point out and you record it on a webcam, and you know the laser was at this angle. This is where the dot shows up. And from that, you can kind of reconstruct. There must be some object here at about this position. This is where the surface is. It's not the light. It's a smart light. I've probably got it turned off in the software. So it's the other one, but you could try it too. It might be on.
Okay.
Mind you, if you put a dumb light in there, it would work.
Dumb lights. We don't do dumb lights around.
Okay.
Mind you, everybody's wives are like, none of these lights feel smart to me when I can't turn them on.
Oh,
I think the biggest problem is when the power flickers in the middle of the night and suddenly all the lights are on. You know,
I don't know that we do, but we could move it.
we can set
It's
it
all
up there
good.
and just try and get light on your face.
Okay. A slightly faster method is where you use a laser line, like a laser level, and it shines a whole line at a time, and you look at it in the webcam, and you can reconstruct the thing. And faster than that is using a technique called structured lighting. Half of it is lit, and then you've got bands lit, and from all of that, you can decide this is where the pixel is on the projector, this is where it's deformed in the image on the webcam, this has got to be where the model is in 3D space. And I don't know exactly how the math works for that, but smart people have figured it out. So next I want to talk about the Microsoft Kinect. And it was released in about 2010. If you have infrared vision goggles, you can see that it shoots out points of light in infrared. And apparently they've done this in such a way that there's patterns in it. And when it sees the patterns, it can tell, well, you know, that's this pixel, that's this pixel. There's a 2-minute video on how it works. Maybe we won't go into it, but pretty darn cool. All right, a very different approach for 3D scanning is right here. This is, maybe we'll bring up the video for this one. There's the video at the very bottom. No, come on. Search for YouTube. So this guy built a Lego Mindstorms NXT robot. This green thing here is a little frog. And he's designing parts for a package called LDraw, which lets you do 3D modeling on your computer to place Lego pieces, primarily so that you could build instruction sets. Like, all right, you use this piece here and this piece here, and this is how you build this thing. And for a weird piece like this frog, how is he supposed to get the model into the software? So he built this 3D scanner, and this has got like a needle on the end of it and some sort of linear actuator, and the motor moves it precisely in 2 dimensions and then pushes it until that sensor hits the frog, and then he knows where it is. And it sounds like it worked really good, except for...
So it's not an optical scanner at all.
No.
It's probing the object over and over and over again.
Probing the object physically, except for where it was at an oblique angle, and then apparently sometimes it would hit and miss. And he said what helped was painting it with sticky tack or something before he did it. But yeah, that one's clever. And my blog post is gone. Okay. And all of these methods only give you one surface. You get an image and you get depth, but you don't have like a 360 around the object. And there are ways to be able to combine multiple surfaces to form a 360 image, though sometimes it's a pain. Next one I want to show you is this one called the milk scanner. And this one someone did, I think it was around 2007, and they've got instructions on Thingiverse. Oh, come on. Why would you ever make it so that I can't hit the maximize button on your video?
Is that a setting?
Yeah, you can embed a YouTube video and say, don't let them maximize it. I don't know why you would do that. But here he's got a little object in a bowl, and he fills it up with a tablespoon of milk every time and takes a picture of it.
So he's slicing it with milk.
He's slicing it with milk. Yep, the webcam can tell where the milk is. And as it raises, you could look between 2 different pictures and say, this is what changed in this slice. This is where the thing is at. This is where the surface is at. I think this is brilliant. They scanned a person in a pool by filling it in with ink. And I thought that was pretty clever too.
Humans are ever inventive.
It's the truth.
Some dude's eating Cheerios and he's like, I can make a 3D scanner with this.
Oh dear. All right. So yeah, when I was asked to look into this, I was stoked. Like, okay, I'm going to go to Thingiverse. I'm going to find a 3D scanner. We're going to print it. This is going to be awesome. But almost all of the 3D scanners on Thingiverse were just, this holds your camera or your object in place, and it has a stepper motor and rotates it so you can take a bunch of pictures and do photogrammetry. So we will talk about photogrammetry next. But finally, just this morning, after sweating it a lot, I found a piece of software using the Kinect to do 3D scans that actually works in 2020. One of them, last night I was talking to, emailing support, and they said, dude, we haven't updated that piece of software in 5 years. Of course it doesn't work. But this one works. So I'll show you in a moment.
Anything unplug if I move this forward?
Okay, so here's what I want to try to scan first. It's an airplane. And can we bring that table over here and take everything off of it? Sorry about that.
I've been busy rearranging his furniture while he's been talking.
Well, someone has to do it.
We have to undo it all now.
Okay, we'll put this here. And let me get you another view. We won't use Pip, no, we won't use Visualizer.
You wouldn't have a USB extender cable, would you? And I'll just hold the little camera close to wherever you want.
Oh, well, I think this will work with this other camera here, but it's upside down. Rotate. There we go. That looks better. Okay, are we in focus? Actually, we want to see this table.
Want to get closer?
There we go. No, we need some space over here. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so we'll get this here. And since we want to be able to scan, can you guys hear me well enough?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Is the camera you're using just a Wise cam, or is this a different camera?
This is a different camera. Yeah, I don't have enough length on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to skewer this so that we can scan it from the underside as well. All right. Stay. Great. And I've got a piece of software called Kinect. And this one's a paid piece of software. I'm using the free trial. Or how does it work? No, you just can't save or export anything. And so let's bring this up. Here it is. I'm going to leave this camera up though so you can see what's going on. And we tell it, okay, we want to scan an object. Sure, 60 centimeters around, that sounds good. And then we start. And now I've got my Kinect here. It's got a long cord. It's plugged into my computer. So what I want to do is find my object here. Come on, what's going on?
So it's using both the little webcam and the Kinect at the same time?
What is going on? Sorry. They should be able to see through the Wise camera. Let's tilt this down.
Yeah, over there.
Oh, okay, I'll let you play with it. And they should be able to see it through that camera as well. And the Kinect ought to be talking to the software. Let's just restart this. Play your own Jeopardy music. What's going on here?
Do 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 do.
All right, I'm gonna unplug the Kinect. Air Force quit. Okay, let's plug the Kinect back in. Start the Scanect software again. All right, we're doing an object. Start to apply the settings. Show me something.
You got flashy green here. Does that mean anything? Like if it's initializing or?
I mean, normally, okay, structure sensor waiting for uplink. So it doesn't see the Kinect yet.
We didn't. I scooched this forward so your microphone could reach a little bit more.
It's lit up here, I think.
Okay.
Edwin, what was your background, Dustin?
What's my background?
Yeah.
There we go.
Not criminal anymore. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I start businesses, and then I get bored and I give them away or sell them or do something.
Okay.
So my last business I worked with Clinton on. We sold it, and
all right, I'm gonna guess
that was in the mobile game space. We made
a recording for a minute, maybe.
Minecraft style first person shooters.
USB devices.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And now I help entrepreneurs hire outsource workers. And I love like I've
It did.
back there, and this is my fifth 3D printer that I've worked on.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that. I'm not sure. Okay.
I think we're live.
Hey, this is pretty cool, guys.
Yeah,
This is pretty cool. So it can see the object, and then what I do is I tell it to start recording. Now
Okay,
it's
does the
recording.
walking person behind it freak it out at all?
I have no idea. And green is good. Green means it's scanning it. Oh, I want to get the underside too. I have to get a little bit of distance or it doesn't work as well. Okay, so now we come over here. Oh, move too fast. Go back to last pose. It's so much harder than you think it should be. Okay, we're gonna cancel this one and we're gonna move
Can we
the
put this
table.
on something higher?
Let's just move the table over away. Yeah, that way a bit.
You don't have like a lazy Susan, do you?
I'm not sure if this software works with that, but yes, we could try that.
Because you could go up and down and rotate the thing.
Okay, let's try, we'll get rid of this.
Do I have any shoe boxes or anything? We could use the chair. Just stack this up.
Well, we might do something like that. Let's, come on. Load harder. There we go. Here, do you want to try this time? Okay, so I think what you want to do is get it kind of in the bounding volume. I think you need to back up. This area in black
that's
means
the
you're
one
too
I'm watching?
close. Yep. Okay, let's try recording that. And it's going. And yep, just try to
Should I go
circle
up and
around
down
it.
or go in circles?
Yes.
Down, until the bottom of the wing goes green. Is
That
what
would
we're
be
after?
ideal. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
All right. And then I would say try to orbit the plane.
Orbit.
This is so cool.
Green is good. Okay, we're gonna try and go up.
Very nice, very nice.
Orbit. You wanna try and put the wire to the other side?
Sure do.
It doesn't like that black canopy.
Try moving back just a little bit.
Oh.
Sometimes when you're too close, like within a meter or something, it can't sense it.
Go down. Clinton the model playing Vanna White in the background. Rotate. So this is just making point, like a point cloud, or what's it doing?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We're
Okay,
making-
let's stop this. And it shows a beautiful little model in color, and then it disappears the color for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, there was the color, and now it's gone.
Color's gone.
But as we orbit this, it knows where we took the camera around this thing. I think that's so cool. So that was record. Then we can go to reconstruct. And this runs an algorithm called Kinect Fusion.
Are we still screen sharing?
Yeah, we're still screen sharing. And so it kind of replays the video and it does the same thing again to make a model of it, but in higher quality. So let's let this run. I think it'll take a couple minutes.
So what does this camera over here do?
Which one? Oh,
This little guy.
this is just a webcam. It's a document camera.
Oh, okay. So
And,
it had nothing to do with the scanning or what was going on.
No, it was
Okay.
just so they could see at a different angle.
Oh, okay. Kind of what we were up to.
I wonder how long this is going to take. Let's let this run and let me move you guys on to the next step. I wonder. I imagine it
We have to
would.
do like a baking show where you have like,
Yeah, basically.
and the model's done.
Okay. You guys aren't even seeing me through webcam right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, just change.
Yeah, let's plug that one back in.
Just change your camera over on Zoom.
On
Just
Zoom.
change it to your web.
Yeah.
Hey, the occasional shot of your bellies is good enough.
Yeah, I know. Very.
Where is Zoom?
When you think you're off camera dancing and a different camera is watching you.
Oh, Sococo is so much better than Zoom.
So-
I wish.
Yeah, until they started charging per minute.
What? No.
Yeah, on top of the monthly fee.
You've got to be kidding.
We were going over every single time we were going over within 2 days. And like So we've moved everything to Discord. We don't use Sococo at all anymore.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
I
that.
think we're upside down again.
Oh, wrong camera. Okay. Zoom. I do not love you, Zoom.
That's, oh,
Zoom. Okay. Where's the other Zoom window?
it minimizes up into a corner when you start sharing your screen.
Okay,
There you
here
go.
we go. Here we go.
Something's floating somewhere.
Camera. FaceTime. There we go. We're back.
No more gut shots.
No, we got. Well, no, that's still going. I mean, we could turn that one off, but yeah, honestly, they're not getting anything out of that. So next, let's talk about photogrammetry. So we'll go back to that blog post, and what we're going to do is I want you to download some software. This is a 30-day trial of some commercial software. It's called Agrosoft Metashape. And if you want to just bring up this blog post, I think I shared the link in Zoom. And
So is this software is, it's not the
no, nothing to do with the Kinect.
Kinect. So you don't need a Kinect to do this one.
Yeah. You guys will be able to do this. And so.
Can I fire up a laptop? Do we need
Oh
the
yeah.
table anymore?
No,
Can I?
go ahead.
Okay.
I might need the table again in a bit, but not right now.
Oh, it's not a big deal. I can pick up and move. I just kind of like play with the software.
All right. So it's just. Are you guys downloading that software?
So I'm on the wife's laptop. It's pretty slow. So I don't know if I'll try that.
I was just gonna watch you, to be
Okay.
honest.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Then I'm not going to wait for you guys to install it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Well, then I will show this to you. Let's. Am I sharing my screen still?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. I've gone non-responsive here. Yes, we have. Metashape's not acting up, so why is it not responding? All right, so be it. Okay, so here's this Metashape program. It's pretty cool. How photogrammetry works is you take a bunch of photographs of an object at different angles, and then you know how your two eyes work to give you depth perception, right? They see a different picture and they can kind of reconstruct how deep, how far away things must be. This uses the same sort of principle. They call it structure from motion. And so you take a whole bunch of pictures of an object. Now, there are some objects that work well and some that work poorly. What happens is you take all these pictures and then it starts analyzing the pictures. It does what's called feature detection. And it looks for, you know, here's a corner in this picture and maybe here's an edge, but I think it mostly does corners. And then it says, well, this picture over here is pretty similar. It's got corners too, but they're a little bit different. I can like project rays through it and figure out where the surface of this 3D object is and then where the cameras were relative to each other. And it can do that with a whole bunch of these images. What is your password for Wi-Fi? Oh, excuse me a moment.
My bad.
I'm not putting that on.
Let's see. You can record that and broadcast it.
Exactly.
P at 55W0RD.
Yeah. That's my PIN number for my bank.
Oh dear. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with the simple one. We've got a French castle, an E.T. plushie, a Kermit plushie, or the temple. Which one would you guys like me to do here?
Any of them. I'm not even a vote.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, let's do the castle. That sounds kind of cool. Or the chateau, I guess.
Agrosoft Meta.
Here we go. Actually, I've already got these images downloaded. So Downloads.
Microsoft Metasheet.
Yes, that's it. Where is this Chateau?
Standard or professional?
If you've already got a chunk of them downloaded for something else, just choose it. I mean.
Okay. I just give me a moment here. Sure. Where do we have?
Yeah, whatever you've got, really.
Okay, we'll go with this one. 11 pictures of the temple. And so here's Metashape. I'm going to drag and drop these images in. And if we take a look, we can see what we've got here. So yesterday I went and took photographs around the temple to try this out. And the results were okay, but actually I could just show you. Which one? Temple 2? Yeah, don't say that. Come on. Okay, yeah, so it looks kind of like this.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But then you look above it and it's like, what is this huge distance between these? And that looks terrible. What's going on?
If only we had a drone.
Well, yes,
Hint.
exactly. If only we had a drone.
I sold it
so,
last week.
pardon?
I sold it last week.
Oh.
No.
So anyways.
In Canada, you have to get a license now to an instructor watches you fly your drone and you have to get a license. I'm like, this is just ridiculous. I only hit one person. I don't need a license.
In the States too, actually. Drones are
yeah, craziness. Okay, sorry. Continue.
No, that's fine. So then I went to YouTube and I'm like, okay, Cardston Temple drone. And I found this one. And okay, our call is ending in just a minute. So I'm going to stop it now and I will restart at the same URL. I'm worried since I'm recording it that it might take a minute. If we're down for a minute, just be patient. We'll come back up at the same URL.
Okay.
Hey.
well, cloud-based encoding or whatever, but
All right, are we? Yep, we're here. So we'll just wait for them to come back.
and it'll stop you from starting another one. Oh no.
No, I was able to start another one, so that's good.
Maybe to show the video while it's encoding and you don't have to record yourself watching another video.
Well, and yeah. All right, who have we got with us? So we got Dustin back.
We can't see anything, but.
Oh, sorry. Let me share my screen again. Desktop 3. Okay, we'll wait another minute for the other Chris.
That URL, I don't know if I'm on the meeting.
Oh, sure. Another tab. Oops. Okay. And then just go into our last post there. Well, no other Chris. I hope he comes back. Don't even know how he tried contacting me if he had problems. Let's see if anyone is urgently contacting me on Facebook or something.
Yeah, he might have to do like I did. I had to go back into Meetup to find the link.
Ah.
I wasn't just holding on to it.
No, I gotcha. Yep. All right. Oh, there is a message on Facebook. My wife sent me a photograph. Oh. Okay. Nothing there. Well, he'll either find his way back or he won't. So back to sharing my screen. Okay, so I found this video of a drone flying over the temple. And, you know, it's beautiful. Like, it goes right over areas that there is no way, no how that I'm going to be able to photograph while I'm standing in front of the temple as a human. And I think we've got 3 passes under different lighting conditions. So what I did is I found, and I even paid for this little app called, what is it called? Snap Motion. And what it does is you give it a video and you tell it, give me between, why am I not sharing anything? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen just fine.
Let me turn on my camera. So I'm talking with my hands here and it's doing no good. Yeah, I just have to figure out where that USB cable is.
We are like, I mean, I can see your screen. So
Okay, so yeah, you set a start point and an end point, and you say, I want n number of frames here, and it
it just pulls out the images for you.
Yep. Now this Metashape is a nice program, and it looks like it can do that too. But when I tried, it was taking forever, and then it crashed. So I'm like, okay, we'll use this other utility to do this. So, all right, back to creating our new workspace, and we will grab those dozen pictures of the temple.
Now, are more pictures going to make it better, but just increase the render time?
You got it. So here's 11 pictures, and there's a bunch of steps in our workflow here.
Is this the right 11 pictures?
Yes, this is.
Okay.
Yep. So a bunch of pictures in our workflow. So we can go align photos. That's the first step, and that's where it finds the features in the photographs, and it figures
like anchors them and tries finding them in other photos.
Yep, exactly. And then it figures out where the cameras are relative to the model. Now it's worth stating, it has no idea which way is up or down. It has no idea what distances are. It's all relative. So after we do that, we get this point cloud of the temple, and it looks kind of cool. And I can tell it, show me where the cameras are, and they're all over here. Since the temple is rotationally symmetric, it can't tell the front apart from the back super easily. And if you have photos from both sides, or rather, when I tried with photos from both sides, it was not happy.
Okay.
But so that's the first step, is it finds the matching points. Then the next step is build a dense cloud. And I'm not entirely sure. Hey, welcome back. I'll just wait a moment. Okay, I'm assuming you're with us, Chris. I hope so.
Yeah, all good.
So what we did is I took 11 photos of the temple. I extracted them from a video where someone did a drone flyover because it works so much better than me walking around. And we did our first step where you tell it to align the cameras. And here's what it gave us. There's sort of a point cloud of the temple in the sunset. And here's where the different cameras are, where the different photographs were taken from. It has no idea which way up is. It doesn't know how big things are, but it can work out relative points. So our next step in the workflow is to build a dense cloud. And this step takes a little while. I've tried out a number of pieces of software that does this. I like the open source stuff. I've got a link to it in my blog. I compiled a number of things. I found that a number of them did not work right. And then I found a number of them require CUDA. And CUDA is an NVIDIA technology that it's like, you know how games use a graphics accelerator to do 3D stuff on the screen? Well, CUDA is acceleration for parallelizable mathematical calculations, which is really slick. But it's a proprietary standard. Only NVIDIA does it. And none of my computers have NVIDIA. And I use a Mac most of the time, and Apple seems to hate NVIDIA for reasons I don't understand. So, and anyway, there's no way to run CUDA here. I would be probably using one called Alice Mushroom, which is free and open source if I did have CUDA. But we're doing this 30-day trial of this software. And this is nice software, I got to admit.
After 30 days, does it totally quit, or it's just
I suspect
it'll
that,
start watermarking everything you do?
I suspect that this one totally quits after 30 days.
Limit you to 5 pictures or something.
Oh yeah, okay, that's done. Let's see how our Kinect is doing. Is that still running somewhere? Yes, it is. Okay, that one finished. So moving back, we did the Kinect Fusion, so we should be able to. And so I ought to be able to remove that milk carton. Let's see if I'm clever enough to do this. I think what we want to do is
Move and crop, maybe?
probably
Remove parts.
let me get the next step going here. So we did the dense cloud here. So if I click this button, oh wait, zoom. Here's the dense point cloud, which, I mean, wow, look at that. And our next step in this workflow is to build a mesh. So a mesh is a three-dimensional object, usually made up of a bunch of triangles or quads. And yeah, it'll calculate that. We'll jump back to Kinect. So move and crop, that sounds great. It looks like we cropped to the ground, which is okay. Last time, I had someone try to scan me, and we included part of the ceiling, and I had to rotate it upside down and then crop to the ground. But okay, how do I move this? That's rotation. Oh, reset that. How about this one? Okay, there we go. And crop to ground. All right, cutting on the ground plane, done. So we'll reset the transform again. How do I make this disappear? Yeah, there, we just got the airplane. Beautiful. It looks to me like it's already watertight. Watertight means that there's no holes in the mesh, that it's completely filled. Our picture of the temple is not watertight. You know, the back of it is a void, and there's no way you could 3D print that, for example. But this one looks like it already is. We'll hit the watertight button and see what it does. Run. When I had someone try to 3D scan me, part of my head got missed, and this watertight step filled it in. It looked awful, but it worked.
Brain surgery is never pretty.
There we go. Oh, I wonder if we can rotate this. I'm sure we can. I don't know that we need to colorize. Let's go to share.
Well, it already looks colored.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? We cannot save this because this is their trial version. Save, sorry. And to export it, first we have to decimate it. The free version is limited to 5,000 faces. Right now, this has 75,000 faces. So we'll export a preview, see what we get. Plane. Oh, that's a wrong folder altogether. Downloads. Plane. Done. Nice. Okay. Well, I'm going to bring it into my slicer and see what we got. That was not the slicer I had in mind, but it doesn't matter. Okay, going back here, we're still meshing. 15 seconds left. So we'll just hang tight on that. What I was intending to do next is to actually take a bunch of photographs of something. And again, I was thinking of that airplane and then show you how it works here. But we don't necessarily have to do that. You know, we can go with the flow, whatever you guys like. I did that. Oh, that was my Zoom recording finishing processing. Okay, this has done the mesh. So now I can click on the mesh button to see the mesh, and it looks horrible. But what's interesting to me is the next step is to texture it. And when we do that, it looks pretty good. Now, if I was to 3D print this, it would look horrible like this. It just doesn't, it can't tell the straight edges. You know, I've been unimpressed by the final results that I've got through the photogrammetry. But when you add the textures, it looks beautiful. It still wouldn't 3D print very nice though. But it would give you something to work off of if you were to try to make your own clean model. So we'll build a texture here. Okay, and one of my slicers is up. What is that? Looks like at some point we were doing army men. Let's start a new project. And let's bring in that plane model. I think I put it in downloads. There it is. Oh, PLY, that's no good. I want an OBJ. Back, disconnect. Export harder. Why do you want to save it there? Okay. Oh, I wonder if Kira can even open an OBJ file. Downloads. Do we have an object here? Nope. Okay. We're gonna switch to the Prusa one. Actually run it for me this time, please. Okay, that'll go back to our temple reconstruction. We're building meshes. So that goes, yeah, we could photograph something. I was thinking of doing the airplane again. Let me ask you guys, do you have any idea what works well for photogrammetry and what just does not? Nope. Okay, so I can tell you. Because of the way it matches features on the surface, reflective objects are a no-go. It couldn't make sense of a mirror. I tried to do a Lego piece, and it just ended up as sort of something flat, and it couldn't correlate the images because some are shiny and some are not. And likewise, if you were like to do the interior of your house with large flat surfaces, it's not going to be able to do that. Someone said if you were trying to do that, that you should put sticky notes on your walls in different places. And then it would have some features to latch onto. Likewise, transparent objects, it's just not going to do it. I saw someone, there's a video linked in my blog post, where he wanted to scan a little plastic bottle. And I'm like, oh, good, I got to see this. First thing he does is says, I'm covering this with gray spray paint. And he spray paints the whole thing gray. And then he went over and did some black flecks and specks on it and some white ones and black again, so that it's got a modeled surface with a pattern on it. And then it was able to do the whole photogrammetry thing, and it turned out nicely. So perfect sort of thing for this, rock. Has lots of texture in different colors. And yeah, a Lego piece or a mirror is not going to work for you. I did try to cover a Lego piece with like flour and pepper, and that didn't work. If I didn't care about it, spray painting would totally work. So
always sacrifice a piece to the greater good.
To the greater good, yep. Let me see here if there was any other points I wanted to mention. Okay, no reflections or transparency, no uniform colors. And rotational symmetry is also a problem, like I mentioned for the temple. If you can't tell which side it's coming from. Mind you, some software, and possibly this one, can use the GPS coordinate on your photograph and be able to tell the different sides apart that way. And so that's pretty slick. Okay. So, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. I am very happy to take a bunch of photos of something and we can try it out here. Or we could do something different, talk about something different, about plans for the future, whatever. What do you guys want?
This was interesting to me. I'm really interested to see how some of those like commercial 3D scanner kits work, where you put your object on a turntable and it turns.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I found a couple of videos where people compared 3D scanners to photogrammetry. And one guy using a $200 photogrammetry thing said, or $200 3D scanner said, the photogrammetry is way better. And one guy using a $2,000 photogram or 3D scanner of some sort said, this is way better than the photogrammetry, but you know, it's $2,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas you can do this other stuff for free or with a piece of software for a couple $100.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, and I've also seen these little iPad ones.
Yes. Yep. And try them out. The ones I've tried though, I was not impressed.
Okay.
Here's the video showing off a number of 3D scanners. And it's interesting because it calls itself like the 2020 buying guide. Doesn't give you any prices. You have no idea if you're looking at a $100,000 piece of equipment or a $100 piece of equipment.
That's funny. I actually, one of my early clients back when I was doing SEO was all 3D, and they do the like $30,000 and $40,000 scanners.
Oh wow! Here's structured lighting. Let's see.
This looks like an XYZ machine.
If I turn on the audio, who knows? Yeah, we'll just jump through in places. This must be a more consumer grade one. What is that? And it was interesting about the turntables. Like some people take their photogrammetry to the next level and like, you need a digital SLR and you need to make sure that it uses the white balance the same in all your images, and you want to make sure that your lighting is diffuse and then use a green screen and make sure that your f-stop is set in just a way so that the thing you want is sharp and the background is blurry. And fortunately, someone else said, no, you can use your smartphone. You're okay.
Yeah, and I mean, and it probably all depends on the results you're going to get too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm not sure what to say there. Let's see how this texturing is going. That still wants another minute and a half. Let's jump back to our slicer and try to import our plane one more time. Okay, this one can import OBJ files. There it is. Oh, and it's there. Just minuscule. So scale it up. The orange one. Okay, make this sucker 30 millimeters. Okay, that's better. So you recall that it capped us at 5,000 polygons. I mean,
but still, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Let me see
like
if I
that's
can...
a printable object. I would know that, I would know that was an egg crate. I mean, an airplane.
Come on, Prusa. Why can't I use my tools? I want you to automatically... There we go. I don't even know which... How about that?
So with the 75,000 polygons, is it smooth or do you still see faces?
I expect that you wouldn't notice the faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I could absolutely print this with some support. And yeah, we could blow it up bigger. Anyways, I'm not actually going to print that. But since we're talking about printing stuff, oh, I'll wait for Chris to come back. But I'll find the images. Downloads, Stormfly. Okay, so the other day testing this out after my Lego failures, I took a plush doll of Stormfly, a character from How to Train Your Dragon. And there we go, I took 70 pictures. They're on my blog if you wanted to try to reconstruct this one. And yeah, that's the idea. Pictures from all the angles, up and down and in and out. And then I actually 3D printed a tiny one to see what we got. Which camera are we using? Right here. So this is it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was. I really wanted to print something 1-to-1 size. This thing is too big. I was not gonna, spend hours and hours and meters of filament to do it. Here, Okay. Well, I really want this. Oh, it's done. It's done. So back to our picture of the temple from the 11 images. Now if we go to the show model and hit the textured view, ta-da, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know, isn't that amazing? Let's turn off the
That's
cameras.
way good.
That's so cool. It would still kind of be miserable if you tried to print it because the
Yeah,
polygons
but,
aren't good,
I mean-
but it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if I click on the different images, you can see them over here. Can I open them in a new tab? So choose, oh, no, it's only showing them down here one at a time. Fine. Can I make this bigger? Nope. Okay, as I cycle through these pictures, tell me one that you like, and then we will make a 3D Facebook photo from it.
Oh, go down to, that one looked good, but
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
yeah, that one looked good.
Okay, so first and foremost, 3D Facebook photos. There are now smartphones with depth cameras in them. I think Apple has one that uses 2 cameras and it calculates the depth. They've also put out a newer model with only 1 camera and it uses AI to fake the depth. And the cool thing there is you can take a picture of like a picture, or a photograph, or a painting, and it will create fake depth for you. But the other one does real depth, and on Facebook you can post those images and they show up sort of in 3D in the posts. But I found a blog post about how you can do that from your computer, and you need to upload 2 images. One image is your image, and the other image is a depth image at the same resolution. So what we can do here is I can right-click on this and go export depth. And it will create a diffuse map, a depth map, and a normal map. And we will just do this. And we're going to create a folder for it. Live photo. Okay. And open. It exports the thing. Then let's go to that folder. Depth, or no, live. Okay. I did put that in downloads, didn't I? Or maybe put in documents. There we go. So we've got these 3 images. This depth image, which looks funky. Black is far away, white is close. Our diffuse image, which is just the normal picture. And our normals image. And you could put this into something like Unity 3D, and it uses the red, green, blue colors to figure out an offset angle for what things would bounce off of. And you could use this as a normal map, and it would actually look pretty good. Just a flat image, but it would calculate colors and shading based on this picture. But we don't really care about that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the depth one as is, and we're going to take the diffuse one and remove the diffuse bit. And so now I'm going to use these 2 images, and I'm going to, here, I'll just toss this one. I'm going to post them to Facebook. And so, there we go. Let's go to the Creative Tech. Load harder. What's on your mind? Okay, a live 3D photo from our night, from our workshop. Okay, and I'm gonna just take these 2 images, drag them and drop them, and it's showing us 2 images, and then Facebook says, wait, that's supposed to be 1 image, and it creates a 3D photo from it. And it takes a little bit of time processing. I don't know what it does. Looks like this one's a little bit funky, but we'll post it. And there we go. There's our new image.
So if you had more polygons and everything, you could
Then
more, or it always kind of
oh no,
limits you a smidge.
the movement is limited. I mean, you saw the 1 image that they're using for this. I don't know exactly how they're doing this.
Okay.
But like if we had more images in our input, the background here would have calculated a better depth
Feel a
map.
bit more.
Yeah.
It's probably just a neat thing as you're scrolling by and then you see a picture move.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
your mouse goes past it or whatever.
That's exactly it. Yep. So, yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to show you. Let me see if I've got any other ones here. No, these are all just the temple, and you've already seen it. It's the temple F one. No, I don't need to say that. Oh, there's nothing. No, wait, it's still loading. Patience. Okay, yeah, this is one with me the other day. But we could do the same thing here, create a 3D image and post it to Facebook, and it would probably be pretty decent. Okay. I think that might be a good point to end things off. If you guys have more questions or more things you want to see, though, that's fine too.
I think that was good.
Dustin, you're muted.
I said that was really cool for me.
Great. Let's talk about future ones. What else would you guys like to see? Or what would you like to present on?
I don't desire presenting on anything.
Hey, where's Joshua? Oh, should have been here.
He went to sleep around 4 today, so.
Oh, I see. Good excuse. Yep.
Yeah.
He sleeps at weird
He has a non-circadian rhythm disorder, so he operates on a non-24-hour sleep schedule. So sometimes he's awake, sometimes he's not.
I thought after hosting the grade 12 grad party a couple nights ago, I was messed up.
Yeah.
Up by Waterton, it didn't rain at all for the whole party from 9 o'clock to 1 in the morning. It didn't rain, and then it just slammed us. And we're like, good, everyone's going home, finally. Now we clean up in a rainstorm.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we should try photogrammetry on
Well,
your
yeah.
girlfriend.
Okay, show that back up.
Oh, well, yeah. All right.
So I brought an object that fell off of the wall of our house, and I thought it would be kind of neat to try and document the thing because I don't know how many more generations it will survive. It's a great big honking grizzly bear paw print. So
well,
I was curious to ask.
Yeah, let's do it.
Out of all the methods we have here, what's the most appropriate way to do a detailed scan of something small? I haven't really looked at any 3D scanner stuff for close to 20 years, because back when what's the big river in China?
The Yellow River?
They built a
Yangtze?
The Yangtze, I think. They built a hydro dam on one of these big Chinese rivers, and they were going to flood all kinds of historical sites, old temples and shrines and all kinds of stuff. So there was a guy at the University of Calgary when I was there that his job was to try and document it all. And so he was running over there and madly trying to use laser scanners and stuff to try and document what these buildings looked like before they flooded. And that was really the last time I ever saw any kind of, significant mapping. It wasn't fancy like, the new SLAM stuff you see where it's taking pictures and everything at the same time. It was just collecting point clouds. But it always, and then there's fancy new handheld units that are super duper fine mesh, but they cost $70,000, and so.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to jump out, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Have a good night.
See ya. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
nice meeting you.
All right. Since you mentioned that, there's this site called Tanks and Temples where they did use those nifty 3D laser scanners and scanned, well, tanks and temples. And then they took video and photos, and the idea is we have a very accurate model. You use photogrammetry and see what the best you can do is, and we can compare and quantify how good your results are. And thus, over time, better algorithms can be developed. I think this is genius.
No, it does sound pretty cool for sure. I have wanted to do photogrammetry with drones, so that's kind of something I'm working on slowly anyways.
Yep. So long as you're allowed to fly them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, is that those drone rules? Is that for everything, like even little dinky toy ones, or is it only at a certain weight category or range or something like that?
I think it's a weight category, but I think it's pretty light, like over 500 grams maybe. I haven't looked, but I don't think you're allowed to fly much without a.
Yeah, I'm just. I mean, I've been interested in getting my pilot's license for a million years, and I just noticed on the last few web pages I've been looking at during the COVID breaks and stuff that there's quite a lot of chatter about these drone licenses and stuff like that. And I was wondering if it was purely for commercial entities, like if you're going to go out and make money and want to fly a plane around, that you have to like file flight plans so other airplanes aren't interfering, et cetera, et cetera. Or is it just general knowledge about stay the heck out of the flight paths of airports and you know the important things? Yeah, anyway, there's a lot of issues involved when you start throwing things around up in the sky. And I know up in Waterton, if you fly a drone, they will confiscate it from you.
Oh, really?
They're totally convinced everybody that has a drone is going to chase animals. So like there's kids that go out on a paddleboard and there's these drones that'll follow you and like film you while you're doing something. And the park people just swoop in and chew them out and everything. And they'll get warned by anybody that sees them. But then as soon as the right people show up, they'll just come and take it from you until you plead your case for a couple months and they might give it back. But
Wow, damn.
there's been great big commercial ones, like big multi-$1,000 machines that have been confiscated where business, like hotels tried to do flybys and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just stuff like that. But then like the Prince of Wales, I was up there working on the Prince of Wales one day and somebody comes up and they're like, oh, well, can you just make sure you're not up here on such and such a day? I'm like, okay, why? Well, we're going to do helicopter flybys. So like a full-size helicopter going 150 kilometers an hour above the lake, the top of the lake is okay. You know? But a drone that's moving at a half a kilometer an hour is somehow dangerous. But anyway, they called me back up for an emergency call, and I drove up there right as the helicopter went ripping by. So there's some footage of like me and my rusty old 4Runner sitting right beside the hotel when the camera went by. So
Nice.
like, hi world.
Hey,
So
Chris, can you, our meeting's ending in 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you want to talk about with flight next time?
Yeah, so I mean, flight, I wouldn't say it's well understood, so I was really just going to go through kind of the different understandings, I guess, of how it works. And I could go into a lot, I don't know, different wing designs, or we could look at different aircraft styles, VTOL stuff.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty comfortable there anyways.
Well, that sounds good. If there's, I mean, I love a hands-on thing. If there's something like, hey, you can make a model that does this or something, but just learning about the principles and stuff was cool too.
You know, I think it would be really fun if we took a whole bunch of these presentations we did and did a mashup of, let's take his little model, we've scanned it in 3D, we can chuck it into a CAD program, we can make all the airfoil profiles out of it. You know, like literally we could, you know, I mean, we could turn around and stick balsa wood into the CNC, cut out little tiny airfoils. You know, you could go from like a 3D model of something to, you know, full-blown reverse engineering of making a flyable little model out of something else. Like really, I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility of what we've covered so far in these. That's true.
So yeah, like I'm very much actually right now tooling up kind of for prototyping. I can see if I can pull it up here, but this is what I've been working on anyways.
I'm gonna go get a drink of water. I'll be right back.
Can I want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if we're not too worried about sound.
We can open it.
Yeah, you guys can do whatever works for you.
Worm, his computer's been running at like 150% the whole time. So that doesn't make too much like background noise or anything, does it? If I open the window?
Oh, that seems okay.
The odd car might drive by or something like that, but.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
And I'm gonna try and plug in the other cam. So what's your background with, you seem to be big into flight, and I was an aerospace engineer, but I never actually learned how to fly. Like that's, it's been on my bucket list forever, but.
Yeah, that's cool. So I was going to ask you what your engineering background was. I'm totally self-taught. So
Oh.
I've just, like, I built my first drone about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I just kind of became obsessed with it and
Cut out.
dove into it. Oh, but yeah, so no technical background on it anyways.
Yeah. No, I just did, I did mechanical engineering and kind of wanted to do aerospace. So sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you switch to another one, then switch back to that, and let's see if it does it.
So I think I just shared a link in chat.
I saw a link.
Yeah, it doesn't like it right now.
Okay.
Well, we had that thing where we had too many USB things.
Yeah,
lagging or
it's
whatever.
true.
So don't worry about it. Sorry, you sent the link.
It's just to a drive folder, but there's a Fusion model. And I messaged you, I think, a couple times.
You messaged
but
two.
my Fusion's not great.
Which one of us did you message?
Chris, just asking about your experience with Fusion, but mine, I don't have a ton, so the modeling needs some work for sure.
All my background was mostly with SolidWorks, and the parent company of SolidWorks is Dassault, and they make another program called CATIA, which, to be perfectly frank, is not as good as SolidWorks. Dassault bought SolidWorks to be able to ingest all the neat features and everything like that, but CATIA is very, very expensive. Like if you're drawing a sketch in CATIA and you want to make a hexagon, like to be the head of a bolt, the hexagon is another license. Like they nickel and dime you on every feature you can possibly imagine. So when you open SolidWorks or Fusion and you see some basic features and stuff, CATIA is just out to take your money from you. SolidWorks, if you're interested, you can get SolidWorks for dirt cheap by becoming a member of the Experimental Aircraft Association.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, in the States, the Experimental Aircraft Association is a licensed educational group like universities. So for like a $30 a year membership, you can have a full version of SolidWorks. So I went on there, and there was a deal one day. So it's like me and my entire family for 3 years cost I think $130. So
let me find out how much time I got left before Zoom kills us.
I think 4 minutes. So
yeah, okay. 4 minutes. Okay. This looks really cool.
But yeah, so it's like kind of a first like do up, I guess, of it. But it there's a lot of VTOL going on, and nobody's really looking at ducted fans, and I really think that's the way to go.
So is this something you want to build?
Yeah, so I like the 3D printer. I'm hoping to start prototyping, maybe like a 1.5 meter version.
Okay.
Wow. And then, but I'd like to keep going bigger and bigger. So we'll see.
Do you have any way to simulate like a virtual wind tunnel or something?
Yeah, well, like open foam would be my best bet, but I've got some learning to do there.
Take a look at, go ahead, we're breaking up a little bit. Should we restart the Zoom thingy?
It's really my internet on this laptop. There's nothing I can do about it at the moment.
Oh, okay. Take a look at a flight simulator called X-Plane.
Yeah.
It's based on the actual physics of airflow over top of an object. So kind of like we were scanning that plane and it had 50,000 little surfaces. X-plane chops your plane up into little surfaces, and then it adds up all the interactions of the air hitting each of those surfaces and how it acts. So when you fly, when you're flying an X-plane and you turn on turbulence, it's not just shaking your plane around. It's actually shaking the air around, and then it's the changes in the air that interact with the plane that make the plane shake. So the FAA actually accepts connecting X-plane to a full like 6 degree of freedom motion platform, and you can log real hours as if you were in $1 million simulator. Like so, so the physics is very, very good. And there's an add-in. There's 2 little side programs in X-plane. One is called X-foil, so you can make the the airfoils of your wings, and then the other one you can put hoops. So if you like took your plane here and you sliced it nose to tail, you can draw those profiles and it'll actually create a plane, and then you can go into X-plane and fly it. Like you can say it's going to weigh this much, and here's where the CG is, and away we go.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
yeah, that's really cool. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, X-plane is the name of it. It's how's the Zoom doing? Are we
less than a minute?
Yeah.
Shall we call again?
Yeah, we can. I'm down, sure.
All right, let me end this now.
Dogs barking, and what else? Like in a bag, and like just making noise right in front of the microphone for the sake of trying to. Are we back?
Like the other camera.
You know what? Don't worry about it. It's probably that USB bus might be. Which one is it?
Yeah, like you said, let's not worry about it.
Where were we?
You were talking.
I don't remember.
Important things in X-plane. Hey, did you want to try to?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
Well, let's try it.
We can still chat while we swing a scanner.
So if you let's use the table here for this.
Let me show this.
So that's pretty cool with the DOF platforms. Like they're actually really affordable now. So I was thinking about getting one, but just a 3 degree for now. But you can upgrade it.
Yeah, there's a lot of actuators and stuff that are available now. So I've seen 3 degree of freedom systems that are basically a lawn chair suspended in PVC tubes with Princess Auto actuators attached to them, so you can get like roll and yaw and
So I want something that's for VR games. I got.
Yeah. So here,
Pardon?
I'll just send you this link here quick.
Okay. I got a VR racing game. And I thought, since you'd be sitting down in the car, you're not going to have the motion sickness. Oh my, I was wrong.
So yeah, these look awesome.
DOFreality.com. Oh my goodness.
But the pricing's really good on them.
Really? Oh wait, no, sorry. A static one was $700. What are we looking
Go
So
ahead.
it's US, but I think it's 1,800 for the 3 degree of freedom. US, which is not terrible, I don't think.
That's cool. Oh my. And what would you use this with?
Yeah, if I was gonna buy one, I'd do VR for sure. But like Flight Sim 20 looks unreal.
It leans you forward, so your inner ear feels you decelerating.
Dang, I can't afford all the cool things we see here. All right.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun for sure.
There was an airplane thing that they used to have in really fancy arcades, and it was like you were sitting on the inside of a donut. So as you like pulled back on the stick, it could rotate the donut and actually hang you upside down, so you could get negative G's and
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So it was a donut that you were inside of that could spin, I guess, nose up and nose down kind of, pitch attitude. And then this donut, there was a pivot on the side of it so it could lean side to side. And that was about it. It didn't ever rotate around like a yaw direction.
Yeah.
So it just had pitch and roll is all it could do. But to it could hang your face straight down, so you're feeling G's from the forward direction, or point your nose up in the air, and inside of the donut was your windshield, so you just looked at the screen in front of you. But if you ever put your head sideways, Speaking of VR, have you seen any of the videos of the new Star Wars Squadrons game that's coming out?
No, I haven't.
Take a look at, or are you familiar with Elite Dangerous? There's a game called Elite Dangerous, and it's
I haven't played it, but I've definitely heard about it.
Well, it's based on the actual physics of space. So, like when you go into like say a space station has artificial gravity by spinning.
Yeah.
And if you're going to fly in a big ship, the dock for a big ship is closer to the center of axis, and so technically there would be less artificial gravity there because you're not so far out on the ring. So it would be easier to load and unload. You know, that's.
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting spin on.
That's cool.
They said the only thing that is fake is supposed to be the amount of power the engine can kick out, because obviously right now we're not capable of accelerating and going faster than the speed of light. But everything else is supposed to be based on the physics. So if you shoot somebody and break one of the thrusters on their ship, they just can't roll in that direction because that thruster doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, so it looks neat. I mean, you can go into asteroid fields and mine or be a pirate or whatever you want. It's just a game. But this Star Wars game that just came out, or not came out, it's coming out in early 2021, I think. It looks like Elite Dangerous. Like the inside of it, flying around the asteroid fields and stuff like that looks just like Elite Dangerous, but it's a Star Wars story. So
cool. Is it PC or it'll be on the consoles too?
I saw it on Steam. Steam is right.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not sure. You know.
Yeah.
Is there enough light? Like can you see what we're doing here with that camera? Is it pointed down far enough?
Yeah, I can see fine.
Okay. Yeah, we've got this grizzly bear pod. Clinton's taking pictures of it from all over.
So have you guys done any photogrammetry with drones, or you've been just doing ground stuff?
Just that where I found someone's YouTube video and made use of it.
We've done nothing but pirate drone videos.
I asked him for permission.
Yeah. My little brother bought a Parrot drone a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He hasn't used it much, so he asked me if me and the kids would be interested in it. So we're kind of waiting for that to get delivered. But that'll be the first time I've played with a quadcopter before.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
When I got out of school 20 years ago, I had just taken like MEMS sensors. That's like the kind of sensors that are in your cell phone. That was when MEMS were pretty new. Like you couldn't really buy them yet. They weren't in cell phones. Smartphones didn't exist yet back in the age of dinosaurs. But I started making a little motion, like an inertial measurement unit for making my own little drone out of an airplane.
Yeah.
So when it was done, right as quadcopters came out, was kind of the kicker that I decided it wasn't worth the effort. I was using a little autopilot system that would just it had a light sensor that looked up and one that looked down, so it could keep the sky upwards.
Oh.
Then it could use MEMS. It could use MEMS accelerometers to measure a little bit better of what's going on with up, down, and sideways. And a pretty rudimentary gyro, but it was only one axis. So, and then a little Garmin GPS, because on a GPS you can mark a waypoint or a pathway, and it'll tell you the bearing you need to take to stay on path. So I figured if this bearing said turn left 10 degrees or turn right 10 degrees or whatever, I could do a little feedback loop with the rudder. So as long as the other system could keep the nose pointed to the horizon and the roof upwards and the belly to the ground, then I would just play around with the rudder to turn it left and right as it cruised around. But I built model airplanes when I was a kid, but I never really ever had the money to put the remote control and everything into them to fly them myself. So I would build them and sell them.
Yeah.
I was recently looking in the Make magazine some years ago, and it was talking about ArduPilot, which is using Arduino control, or sometimes partially control. So you could still have control, or it could have control, could pilot the thing around and thought, oh, that sounds really
Yeah.
cool.
It'll be fun to do. There's an Arduino one. There's a Raspberry Pi one. There's quite a few now, but I'm not sure what the differences are. Back when I was doing it, the most advanced thing that was out there was called the Paparazzi Project, which just made it sound creepy, like you were going to fly around and take pictures of celebrities. The Paparazzi Project died off pretty quickly once quadcopters started becoming a thing. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Like ArduPilot is what I've been using for a long time now.
Sorry, which one?
Pixhawk and ArduPilot, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So you actually, I guess you have drones, and that's not necessarily a quadcopter. What kind of gear have you flown?
So I've always, the first one I built was a quadcopter, but the last few years it's been a hybrid fixed wing.
You got to talk about
That I've
this
been
next
trying to
month.
get going. So I built about, yeah, I can throw it in there, yeah.
We should keep this in mind. We've got a fellow that works out at the airport here in Cardston that has built a lot of airplanes.
Oh yeah.
Doug Murray is his name.
Okay.
Maybe we should look at some of the subject matter and see if there's if we had him do a spiel on, human flight, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you could build off of that on the following one and talk about drones and how they're different or the same, or I don't know. They could complement one another. Don't have to cover so much ground in one evening.
Yeah. No, I'd be down. I'd love to meet him for sure. He sounds like an interesting guy, and building airplanes is.
Well, he was the automotive mechanic in Mountain View when I was growing up. So like his daughter was my age, and we went to school from grade 1 through high school. But so when I would screw up something on my truck, he would fix it, and I would go countersink rivets on his airplane in the next room.
Oh, nice.
So while he fixed cars in one bay, to pay the bills, he was building an airplane in the next bay. So that's cool.
Huh.
But he's out at the airport now, and he's built quite a few. I think he sold the plane that I helped him on, and he's got a 4-seater now instead of a 2. But I mean, it's a full-blown plane that cruises at 200 miles an hour. So
yeah, that's sweet.
I'd like to get there someday, but I think he was in his last plane. He was into it for I think $65,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's a pricey one.
It's pricey, but he says the world gets small. Like
For
Seattle,
sure.
Seattle's only 3.5 hours away. So
Yeah, that would be nice.
The world gets small at 200 miles an hour. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that'd be sweet. So what kind of aircraft have you worked on then?
Right out of school, I built designed the biggest piece of metal in the A380, the double-decker.
Oh, wow.
Airbus.
Yeah, yeah.
It was big enough that the computer couldn't handle the piece. The piece of metal started off as a 14-meter long, 3-meter high, and 8-inch thick slab of aluminum. And then we had to machine into it to lighten the thing. So these are the keel beams, so where the fuselage is a tube, which is a nice strong structure. And as soon as you get to the landing gear bays, suddenly you've got these discontinuities in the side where the landing gear bay doors open up. So to bypass that structural weakness, there's a keel beam or 2 keel beams. So the inside wall on the landing gear bay is a big beefy piece of structure. And then in between the 2 keel beams is the cargo bay down on the lowest level. So I helped design the keel beams on the I guess we got gut shots again. Here we go. Ta-da! The keel beam, that'll look great, recorded for posterity on YouTube forever.
Yeah, and just check when there's 5 hits on the video.
Nobody's been scratching their butt or anything like that, I'm sure. But anyway, so yeah, so worked on the A380 commercial, and then we did the cargo one. We did the interfaces on cargo, so that's where if Airbus Germany made one part and Airbus France made another part, and somebody else made another, somebody from Britain made another part, we were the guys that tried to sit them all down and make them cooperate so the pieces would actually connect together.
Fair enough.
But then after Airbus, I kind of bounced around a little bit. Like I worked on Boeing stuff, the 787, the new C series, which was a Bombardier plane, but now it's an Airbus plane.
Okay.
I did the cockpit for that, so all the carbon fiber for the dashboard. What else? The 429 Bell helicopter. It was another carbon fiber helicopter, but we had to solve a problem where big pieces came down and there were big doors all over the place, and we had just a stupid amount of load going through one of these door frames. So we had to basically find a way of getting the biggest titanium bolts we could through it, and then make sure that that whole stress concentration wouldn't peel apart when the helicopter did something funky. Yeah, anyway, there was a little bit of everything. I kind of specialized in BMD to passenger safety for business jets. And so, yeah. And at that point, I was always remote. Like, I was never with the airplanes. And so I decided if I came back to Alberta and the internet worked, I could do my work from here.
Yeah.
So I Googled high-speed internet Southern Alberta, and it came up in the country. And I was like, yes, you know, internet has arrived in Southern Alberta. And it was like 1 megabit. So yeah, so I'm now, my house is up to 15 right now. I'm building the fiber optic network in Waterton where we're doing gigabit. And we're trying to take some of that extra internet and pipe it out of the park to where my house is. So I'm hoping to be at 100 megabits by the end of the year. But
yeah, that'll be nice.
It'd be nice to go back to aerospace, but I mean, we're coming up on 8 years that I've been moved back here and haven't worked on a plane yet. So the last offer I had was to go to Calgary to work on the maintenance of all the water bombers.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
After having lots of forest fires, suddenly water bombers are getting some love. So they were looking for a bilingual structural engineer that could read French documents and do structural work. And I'm like, yeah, that's me, but I just don't want to live in Calgary. I don't want to go live in Calgary. So I told him I was in a contract doing the fiber down in Waterton, and when I was done, I'd call them. And if they're okay with me working remote or coming up 1 or 2 days a week to coordinate with them or whatever, I'll help them on their fire or water bombs. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's pretty cool. That's quite the.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so where did you get into drones and all that jazz? Like, how did that come about?
It actually it was the Raspberry Pi.
Really?
I picked up a Raspberry Pi and I wanted to, the same kind of like, I wanted to make it fly an airplane, and got into, I got motors moving and stuff, and then all the autopilots started coming out, and it was so easy, so I just picked up one of those instead.
That's cool. So you've
that
got
was
a Raspberry Pi.
or the APM one.
So you've got a Raspberry Pi with like a backpack on it to run your servos and your pulse width.
Yeah, I just put a little Arduino on it, and I forget which one I had. It was just a add-on plate or whatever they were calling them.
Yeah. I mean, I know backpacks are, that's Arduino talk, but whatever Raspberry Pis are. What are we looking for? Oh, all those.
But yeah, I started there, and then I farmed for 5 years with my cousin in Manitoba, and drones, that was when it kind of became like a serious thing, I guess. He was looking at it for photogrammetry out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of dove in and never looked back, I guess.
In Manitoba.
Yeah.
I work for a company called Farmer's Edge, and
Oh yeah.
we have some sort of partner company that flies UAVs over your fields and does photogrammetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What like
Try and find the
NDVI, so like vegetation and indexing and stuff, I think.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
You're back.
Yeah,
Say that
yeah,
again.
broke up there. Sorry, just so like it'd be NDVI in the vegetation mapping. Probably.
We do that with satellites.
Yeah, you guys would do satellites, yeah.
They were using that to make three-dimensional models of your fields, and then they could tell you where your water went and stuff.
Yeah.
That just sounded wild. I've never actually seen anything of it other than the press release. I assume it exists and people use it. I guess it's a partner thing. So
up in Waterton, we've
Yeah,
had
they've got it down now where they'll do they'll do like NDVI imaging and then custom fertilizer package based on that imaging,
that's right.
and then spread that out all over. But so that's what we were looking at.
I think there would be money to be made in, like, take Waterton where we just had the forest fires.
Yeah.
You know, part of the reason they locked everything down was concerns that people would walk in with some, you know, seed on their shoes and some other non-native plant would take over. I personally think weed control up there gets a, well, I don't think, I know weed control gets a silly amount of money thrown at it. But if there was a way of cruising around with a drone periodically and just taking massive amounts of pictures of the ground, I think, you know, there's certain kinds of weeds and certain kinds of plants that are detectable based just purely on their color. You wouldn't even need to worry about processing the photos. You could just look at, you know, how many pixels show up with this tone of purple, you know, at the right time of the year. And you could, you know, throw out GPS maps showing where that color of a blossom is showing up, and then have, you know, then have people go and look and be like, okay, is this the bad plant, or is this something else that just looks similar or whatever? But hypothetically, if you had enough processing power, you could cruise around and take pictures and then have the computer actually process, you know, what's the shape of the blossom, or, you know, that sort of thing. But, and,
Yeah.
put red flags on maps, you know, based on that. Because right now they literally just, they hike around trying to cover the like 100 meters on each side of the highway where they think the seeds might come off of cars. And they put all their attention into that. And it's like you walk to the edge of that 100 meters and you look out further and it's this sea of purple. And you're like, you're concentrating on the highway and that looks great, but there is acres and acres and acres of that bad plant right there. You know? But they kind of ignore it because they go, oh, well, as soon as we start looking everywhere else, we're going to get overwhelmed. Well, that one plant poisons the ground and is going to wreck other plants from growing. Like, you know, stop talking about your union having jobs and just get volunteers shoulder to shoulder. And go, I
don't know, we can try it out if you wanted to. Sure.
Yeah, honestly, it's something that, like, drones officially, you go to the park, they're going to take it away from you. But if you had some examples of, like, you know, literally like throwing little scraps of paper at a field, run around sprinkling them here and there, and then do your pictures and show them that you're capable of, you know, processing those pictures and showing them where those little colored bits show up, that I think you could really get some attention. And they spend money like it's somebody else's. Well, it is somebody else's money, but it's they built. Here's an example. They built a bathroom years ago. They then renovated the bathroom. They spent $250,000 renovating a bathroom. So there was granite countertops and fancy water circulation systems. So when you turned on a shower, it was always warm and whatever. $250,000 renovating a bathroom for the campground. Before they had the caulking around the granite countertop, they knew they were going to rip it down and rebuild it for $500,000 because they received money that had to be spent on new construction.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, sorry. They tore down the $250,000 renovated bathroom to rebuild it the year after they finished, because they received a bunch of money. They received $100 million that had to be spent on new construction. They weren't allowed to renovate older buildings. So
yeah, they do.
They just tore it down. Like, that was it. They recovered the hot water tank.
Like, I'm an electrician by trade now, anyways, and there's so much waste in the city, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think if there was a way of saying, hey, here's a way of, you know, more effectively running your, you know, your weed crews into places that you can make a difference, then yeah. Anyway, my 2 cents. But
print your own plane?
Yeah, that was, I thought I'd share that with you guys, that you'd like that.
the benzene. So you need a big.
So it's not a very big printer you need.
Oh, really? So how So each of the wings is chopped up into.
So I think like if you have 200 by 200 millimeter, you should be all right.
That's pretty standard.
Where's the video? That's kind of. So there's a mesh. There's a CFD. Oh, okay. You probably mute the video. So it's not. And
Because of the way they embedded it.
Yeah.
I love that. Here, let's go to YouTube. Yeah.
And we're almost done the video by the time we get it.
Wait, do these fly?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's the reason I'm going to buy a 3D printer right there. I always thought buying a 3D printer, it's like, yay, we're going to have lots of bumpy spatulas laying around the house or whatever. But
Well, I got to say, my printer's not seeing a lot of use right now. I was printing a bunch of shield parts and stuff when COVID hit. And I was sick for ages. And by now,
Oh yeah.
they should have other things in place where it's not.
You would hope for sure.
Well, I know the one group that I was working with, they couldn't believe the
that
response
looks like mine right there.
that they got asking people to print parts, and they said, okay, we're done with the free shipping now. Like, we're stuck waiting for the plexiglass part of these face shields now, so we don't need any more 3D printed parts.
Where's Zoom?
Yeah.
Sure. It's the number one question with Zoom is where is Zoom? Sure. Okay.
I think I might call it a night here, but or unless you guys.
No, I think I can post it on the. Go ahead.
Oh, was it Dustin that was asking? Was that you that was asking what 3D printer I had, or Dustin?
CNC machine.
Or sorry, CNC.
Sorry, it's breaking up again.
Was that you asking what CNC machine I had, or was that Dustin?
I think that might have been Dustin.
Okay.
But I think you said was it you that picked up the Laszlo?
No, I've got this little guy. It's called the Sane Smart.
Okay.
3018. It's.
Yeah, I've got the Maslow kit, which is actually Dustin's kit, but I've got it mostly set up.
Oh,
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this one that I've got, it's a glorified Dremel tool. It's good for learning and stuff, but it's pretty limited in what you can do.
I mean,
Anyway,
it is what it is. You can. Probably does wood pretty well and plastics and.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. And,
Yeah, it was
sorry.
nice meeting you guys.
And yeah, if you've got next month's thing, that would be awesome. And who knows?
Yeah, I can do that for sure. I can put something together.
In person, but wonderful. I think you know how to get in touch with me, and yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, it was definitely good for my first time, and I will message you, and we'll talk about the presentation and stuff because I definitely have questions. So.
Okay, sounds great.
Cool. Alrighty, nice meeting you.
Cool. You guys have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
See ya.